Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, SNDL traders and investors. It's Rod with POW Group, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news and interviews. Today is Wednesday. Happy hump day. It's September 3rd. Hope you're doing awesome. And in this video, we're going to do an update on SNDL. We'll bring up the chart, take a look at the technicals, what to expect in terms of the price action in the days, weeks, months ahead. I'll give my thoughts and opinions. Before we do, make sure to smash the like. If you're new, you can subscribe. Tick the bell, you'll be notified on any future videos. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. And full disclosure, I do own SNDL in my portfolio. You can also follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. I'm going to be using that as one of my platforms of choice going forward, getting tons of followers over there and eclipse 10,000 here on YouTube. So really appreciate all of your support. We'll take a look at the SNDL price chart. So there's been tons of bear flags and bearish continuation patterns and just overall bearish momentum on the chart. We did hit weekly oversold, and now most names are in the weekly overbought territory. Now, one thing most people usually, they buy the lows, they sell the highs because people are emotional, right? They can't hold through the brutal bear market, and then once the price starts to go up, they start to feel bullish again. But we all know that that's not how the game works, right? You need to buy when there's blood in the streets, and if you know nothing about charts, and you just put in the RSI indicator, which is just basically a determination of whether something is overbought or oversold. Generally, when things are oversold, that means there's a lot of selling. So generally a good time to buy. When things are overbought, there's a lot of buying. Generally a good time to sell, or at least stay sidelined and wait for a better entry. And you can see here, if you just entered on the times that we were weekly oversold, you would have did better than 99% of people out there, but most people can't trade based on logic and data and reason. They like to trade on FOMO and panic selling and all kinds of emotions, right? Because that's what the market is designed to do. But look at this chart. This is an absolute thing of beauty. So not only did we have multiple bear flags, we had this symmetrical triangle that broke bearish. And look where the target was for that. And I like to use the real candle bodies as much as possible. And I'm just showing how epic this technical analysis and chart has been. So we were looking at a target there of 164. Look at the bottom there. It was 165. And then we had a very large point of interest there where the price even came back down to 165 again. It was a double bottom. What do we know when multiple support or resistance lines get tested? Usually on the third or fourth try, it breaks to the downside or the upside depending on how it breaks, right? If you have double bottom and then you come for the third time, generally it's going to break, right? It's just like the dam's getting weaker and it's inevitably going to break down at some point. So that was our first target. Then we had this weekly bear flag target and we were targeting 125. Then we had a daily bear flag target and we were targeting 115. And what do you know? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Right on 115 on that low there. So if you entered on that second, and you don't time the bottom, right? You're never going to time the bottom. But even if you entered a little bit here at that 160.64 level, if you entered again at 125 and then you entered again at 115, you could have gotten your cost basis down significantly, maybe down to like 130, 140. And just last week we hit 274. We also had on this symmetrical triangle breakout, we had a weekly downtrend confirming in an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross, giving more basically reassurance that we were going to see more downside from there. Then recently we hit weekly, and we were coming off weekly overbought as well. Now we're weekly oversold. We had the opposite of that, an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross. We confirmed the weekly uptrend and a bull flag. The target was 281, and look, that was the first target, and we hit 274. We were mere pennies away. And from that low there at 115, we were up over 140%. Now we have another bull flag forming here potentially on the weekly time frame. If we start weekly consolidation this week, it's possible that it happens next week, with tomorrow being Thursday. I can't see us losing the low of last week at 222. Anything's possible. We're already seeing weekly consolidation across a lot of names in the space in the sector. Even the S&P 500 and pretty much most sectors are consolidating on the weekly time frame. So I think the most likely scenario is that we probably consolidate into next week. Obviously, if we get a rescheduling decision, that could change things, right? News can change things, but I would expect that to happen probably next week. And then as long as we hold 214, it's a potential weekly bull flag, and we could be targeting $4. And then you just take your measured move there from the low to the high, move it out to your 0.32 fib, and that gives you your measured move of $4.04. So over $4. And that's what's so great about this was definitely a laggard as well, but that's what's so great about looking at charts, is because so many people don't believe in charts. It's like, how would I make this up, right? Like, I'd be the biggest BS bullshitter, I guess, for lack of a better word, excuse my French, if I was able to make this stuff up, right? It's clear, there's clearly something to this. And again, most people don't spend the time. It takes hours and hours and hours to become somewhat, dangerous using a chart and understanding even slightly what's going on, right? So this was a huge laggard, and I said for a while now that SNDL was a laggard because of the fact that they were doing a strategic review of their listings in the US, right? That was starting to spook a lot of people out. Oh, what happens to my shares on the NASDAQ? I don't have access to the OTC or the Toronto Stock Exchange if they move there. So there was a lot of uncertainty there, and the market doesn't like uncertainty. But then we started to get some certainty with regards to reform in the US, and then bam, here we are. We're up over 140% in no time. So 214 has to hold. And then if we do start weekly consolidation, losing the low of last week, probably not this week, but next week, then, like I said, that's a potential weekly bull flag. So it's still early, but that's what we'll be looking at. And there's a lot of weekly bull flags in the sector, not just on SNDL. So the more names that confirm weekly bull flags, the more we're going to be confident that the names that haven't already done so likely will. And look at MSOS. It's a weekly bull flag as well, targeting $11 if we get there. So we're weekly consolidation now. We lost the low of last week, looking for a higher low. As long as we hold 398, then that maintains the potential for a weekly bull flag. And then if we break the high there at 602, we'll be looking at 1158, and that's similar to SNDL if we start weekly consolidation this week or next week. But like I said, my money is on next week, and then who knows, maybe we get a rescheduling announcement at some point towards the end of next week and we start consolidation at the beginning of the week. That would probably make the most sense to me. We have another super bullish pattern as well. We also had a bullish triple thunder crossover, so check this out. I didn't have it up, but this is how quickly you can bring it up. So if you're in the POW Algo Alerts service, you can just go here and search SNDL here in the group, and you can see all of the, and we just had a ultra overbought condition go off on the 25th, so that's telling you that we're pretty overheated. We're probably going to see a pullback, and then sure enough, from the high of last week to the low of this week, we're already down over 10%. But take a look at this one. So we had the alert go off on the weekly EMA 12 and 26 bull cross. That was on August 11th. So August 11th, the alert went off, and that was right here whenever the EMA 12 and 26 bull cross occurred. So on the beginning of that week, we went from $1.80 all the way up to $2.74. So just playing off that alert alone, that was upside of 52%. Now let's look at the bullish triple thunder crossover. This is when the price gets above the 10-week moving average, all simultaneously, I may add. The weekly MACD crosses bullish and the stochastic on the weekly crosses bullish. When all of those three things happen, which are very, very uncommon, right? They don't happen very often. When they do, it's very bullish. And when you add them all three together simultaneously, it's mega bullish, right? So that's why I love these triple thunder crossovers. There's bull and bear, so you can just flip this around, bear cross or loss of the 10-week moving average. But you can see that this alert fired on, let me see here, July 8th. So let's go to the price on July 8th. So the week of July 8th, we closed that week, closed the candle at 139. So we went from 139. So if you just played on that alert alone, that would have been upside of 100, almost 100%, basically 97%. So that's the power of these POW algo alerts. And no pun intended, but the power. So yeah, that was a huge buy signal, and yeah, we're being rewarded basically just by learning the charts, and that's why I love the algo alerts so much as well, because it's basically my brain into an algorithm so that I don't have to spend as much time looking at charts, because you get them emailed to you or you get them directly in the Slack POW group private community as well. We're also close to seeing a bull cross of the 50 weekly and the 100 weekly moving average, and then we could see a 50 and a 200 weekly moving average would be bull cross, which would be the first in history, and that is super bullish. That's a golden cross in the daily time frame, and speaking of which, it just happened last week or a couple weeks ago. No, this is the daily time frame. So yeah, it just happened on August 27th. But typically what happens is the price runs up because there are lagging indicators, and then the price runs, you see the bull cross, you pull back a little bit, and then you go again. And that's looking fantastic. Something else as well, VFF, a lot of our names are getting well above their 200 weekly moving average. So if SNDL does something similar, that'd put us somewhere around $3.50 to $4, folks. And there's another confluence, another pattern giving us confidence that, you know, multiple signals, patterns, indicators all saying the same thing on multiple different time frames, and that one's saying over $4 as well. So it's an exciting time. We'll see what happens in terms of a determination with regards to Schedule 3. but I do think that we're more than likely going to see some sort of announcement on that in the next couple of weeks. The market's heating up. We have interest rates potentially cutting in the U.S., so that's going to open up market. It's going to decrease the cost of borrowing. It's going to create more influx in the U.S. and like the capital markets, and also just in overall stocks, because there's going to be more risk on appetite, right? Easier to borrow money, then a lot of that adds to the risk profile, right? So it's looking good, but let me know what you think of this in the comment section below. There'll also be links for the PAL Algo alerts. So if you want to check that out or join the group, there's also a bundle pass where you can bundle the PAL Algo alerts with the group pass, and you can save, it's about $140 on that. All right, have a great night. It's Rod with PAL Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll see you again on the next video.